You are going to hate me for saying this. I hate myself a little bit for saying this, but I'm really not that impressed with this Maserati Quattroporte, and I'll tell you why in this quick take. So before you start calling me a spoiled brat in the comments section, let me just say that the Maserati is perfectly fine in isolation. But when you start to compare it to the other cars in its segment, they just set such a high bar, and the Maserati is just kind of down here. And I'm not the only one who thought this either. Nearly everyone else I picked up and drove around just kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, that's it, I was kind of expecting more. First off, Maseratis are famous for their angry Italian V8 howl, but this Quattroporte SQ4 has a V6 under the hood. So the Ferrari-built 3-liter V6 engine is twin-turboed, and it sounds pretty good under full throttle. But I'm still convinced that the Shelby I was driving last week made me deaf, because I think the Quattroporte is way too quiet. Putting it in sport mode helps a little bit, but the Maserati is just so subdued and drama-free, and if I'm going to be paying more than 100 grand for a car, I want to have a bit of drama. But actual people who buy big luxury executive sedans probably don't want to stand out too much anyway, so this Maserati does the trick well. It's classy and conservative, yet it's still more exotic looking and sounding than a lot of its competition. But that's about all it's better at. With 404 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque, the Quattroporte can get to 60 miles an hour in 4.6 seconds. It's faster than you ever need it to be, but again, it doesn't quite meet expectations because there's a fair bit of turbo lag. You floor the pedal and the car takes a couple beats to really get going. The steering has a solid, heavy feel and it's quite responsive, but the whole experience is kind of just ruined by these terrible paddle shifters. They're huge and they don't turn with the wheel and they get in the way of the turn signal, so even if you never use them, they'll still annoy the shit out of you. And it's the same story with this joystick-like gear selector, which is clunky and never works the way you want it to. If you look at all the other executive luxury sedans on the market right now, the Maserati falls a bit short. You know, even if you look at a BMW 7 Series, an A8, an S-Class, or even a Porsche Panamera, the Quattroporte seems kind of bare bones in comparison. There are none of the features you expect to be at this price point, like there's no adaptive cruise control or head-up display, there's no automatic emergency braking or lane keep assist. I mean, these are things that you can find now in a Honda Civic, so it's kind of embarrassing that they're not in this Maserati. In the end, it's luxurious, but it's not as posh as an S-Class. It's fast, but a Panamera feels faster and is more responsive, and it's dynamic, but perhaps it doesn't handle as well as the BMW. One of the biggest downfalls of the Quattroporte is that it just doesn't feel that special when you drive it, and it lacks so many of the features that we've come to expect. The biggest draw of this Quattroporte is really its Maserati badge, and other than that, there's not much it does differently to make it stand out from its competition. Maserati really needs to update its flagship sedan to make it way more competitive.